Hey Taurus, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so take what works, leave what doesn't. If I don't catch your storyline or your energy wave for this reading, check your other major placements for something that does sound familiar to you and should jog your memory a little bit or okay. All right. Should jog your memory a little bit and help you know that, apparently this my brain just stopped working all of a sudden. So it should jog your memory, and you should be able to relate to it. You'll know what I'm talking about. You won't yet. We're like almost a minute into this thing and nobody knows what I'm talking about. All right, so we are grateful for the accurate message we're about to receive for you, Taurus, and these cards popped out right away. So shit, Taurus, what the... Okay, we have Eva. I like to start with Eva because I don't want to end on a sour note here. But Eva's not necessarily a sour note. She's just something that is different than what she looks. Here's somebody presenting themselves to you, either intentionally or unintentionally. They look to you like a flower. They are not. This could be you. This could be somebody in your environment, somebody you know. They're not what they seem. And this doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It just means that you're reading something in somebody else or in some sort of situation. Also, you're reading something in some sort of situation that's not accurate necessarily. So that could be coming from you, your wishful thinking. You want to see a flower, you see a flower. You're used to seeing flowers in this deck. So here's your flower. You could just have a trusting, open heart here, but some situation isn't as it seems. So this is not exactly the most peaceful, loving message you will ever receive, because tarot doesn't give you the name and the address of the person we're talking about. You have to like kind of guess at it. Hopefully you know. Hopefully this is like, oh yeah, something does seem up with this person. So this is confirmation that somebody, and it could be you, because we're doing a general reading, so it's really fascinating, because in the personal readings, which you can get from me by emailing me at empressrose1111@gmail. So, one storyline comes out very clearly. But in a general reading like this, there's a couple different possibilities here when we look at this. I mean, hopefully, if it goes well in the personal reading, it comes out clearly. So in a general reading like this, this could be you, this could be somebody else, this could be a situation, this could be a person. Somebody could be intentionally lying, somebody could be just misrepresenting themselves. There are all sorts of great reasons to misrepresent ourselves, especially if we feel in danger. And then there are also sorts of shitty reasons to misrepresent ourselves. And then there's the accidental misrepresentation, because there's the accidental misrepresentation because we're not understanding our own selves here, so we're presenting something inaccurately to the world because we're deceiving ourselves first. So that's, anyway, but something isn't as it seems. So there we go. Eva, something's not as it seems. Morning dew girl, you got some grief here, possibly because of this deception, but you have some sadness and some grief. This is all here to help you grow, though, and help you build something. Your heart is looking at the past. This is something obviously that's already happened, because we rarely grieve. That's called anxiety, when you're pre-grieving something that hasn't happened. But this is some sadness, some depression. Something ended. Our heart is still back there, still back with this thing that's ended. And it's sad. There's tears here. We're crying. And if we're not literally crying, we wish we were crying. We're wishing for that cleansing cry here. But you are, the crying is, and the sadness is about a cleansing. It is here to bring you someplace better. It is here to feed you and to help you grow and to help you, that she's collecting these and she's going to go water other plants. Like this plant, for whatever reason, we've got this dahlia back here that is just, or a chrysanthemum that's just really producing a lot of water right now. And she's collecting it. She's going to bring it to other places in perhaps her own garden in her life that need this water. So you're going to grow from this, and you're about halfway through the process. Your heart is definitely, your heart's kind of sad. It's looking back. Your heart's looking back at this Eva situation where something wasn't quite as it seemed. And that's what's making you sad. That's your grief, is something not being as good as it seemed, or as safe as it seemed, or as or it wasn't what you wanted. It wasn't what you were expecting, and it really made you sad. We have tiny triumphs here. So this is about our intellect sort of taking a back seat, where our intellect's usually in charge. It's got the spreadsheets, it's got the plan, it knows what it's doing, it's got everything under control. But here we have our little still small voice within us that's popping out in a big way and is ready to talk and ready to do something. This has something to do with your home, and you're coming out, your intuition's coming out in a really big way and is sort of in charge. Like, how you like that now, sucker? Look at, you're tiny, I'm big, I could eat you. I could, maybe not a snack, but at least lunch. I could eat you for lunch. So how does that feel? So your intellect's sort of, this raven here is the apex species. And so a very smart plan has fallen away and a new intuitive plan has taken its place. This can also, intuition. Our brains can want things and trick us and see things and whatever. And it's best when the two are working together. So maybe you talked yourself into, yeah, that's a flower. Yep. It's green. It looks like a flower, smells like a flower, definitely a flower. And it didn't turn out to be a flower. Now your intuition's like, maybe you need to sit down and shut up and let me do some driving here. Because I might know a little bit, I might have been able to sense, smell out this flower, because this is all pure instinct. A mouse is nothing but a pile of nervous instincts that's there to read the environment with their whiskers. I can almost see the whiskers twitching, the whole body twitching, the whole body, breathing very quickly as it's gathering information about its safety from its environment and whether it's feeling safe or not. So let that intuition and that more animal instinct come in. Pay attention to how your body feels in situations and around certain people. No rain today. So yeah, we've been through a grief process. We're about halfway through, but we're starting to get some sunnier days here. We're starting to get some things that feel better and look better. So this is my Ram Dass is one of my favorite teachers, and he has a book and just the whole mantra, be here now. And one of the questions is, where are you? I'm here. What time is it? It's now, sunny time. So there's not a cloud that's ever been in your sky that prevents you from being present and shining when the clouds are not in the sky. So we can be present even though we've been surrounded by this grief process. And then we focus on being here now. Where are you right now? You're not, maybe, you can be like, I am with the Eva now. I'm with the Eva now. And you can be like, okay, we're here with the Eva now. And then when you're not with the Eva, you can be like, I am not with Eva right now. I can stop thinking and obsessing about this Eva situation that went down. So we're not asking you, it would never ask you to, you can be like, I'm grieving. Where am I? I'm right here. I'm right now. What do I feel? I feel grief. Okay. But you can also be like, okay, the sun is shining today. So there's no sun today. And so we take our temporary moments of clarity, of happiness. We take them, we stay with them, we build on them. We don't cling to them. We let the clouds, obviously, who can stop the clouds from coming? The clouds come in, they leave. We let them leave. We don't imagine there's a shadow here anymore when there's no shadow. But we do have a lot of tears. We do have a bit of a grief process going on here. We've got our two crying cards. Our two crying cards. My goodness. So something's gone wrong here. This Eva, I don't know, I like her less and less the more crying cards we get here. But the moments you're not crying, when that cloud clears, when Eva's not around, when you're outside that situation, embrace that, focus on that. Focus on being right here, right now. There's nothing that's ever happened that can prevent you from being in your present moment. And if your present moment has some clarity and has some joy and happiness in it, then let that be your present moment. And then the clouds are going to come. They do. And you're going to let them come and you're going to let them go. And when they want to go, you let them go. You don't keep talking about the cloud or keep obsessed. I mean, you have to process, of course, but you don't need to like obsess about the cloud or cling to the cloud or live the rest of your life as if the cloud is there when the cloud is not there. So don't be living your life like clouds are hanging over your head when they're not. So that is so much easier said than done, even though I took like 5 minutes to talk about it. It's way easier said than done. But it does take practice. It takes daily practice to be in the present moment and not be living as if you're under a cloud when you actually are no longer under a cloud. It's okay to grieve, though. We go through a grieving process. It's important. So, yeah. But when you get those sunny moments and that clarity, by all means, take it, be with it. All right, Moonology, what do we have here? Oh, wow, okay. So nothing is yet set in stone, mutable moon. Look at this. We've got this wild ocean still. Mutable moment. Things, nothing, yeah. I mean, nothing's set in stone. And things can change. Eva could be deceiving herself or himself. The situation can change. You know, we're having clouds and sun going back and forth here. So nothing is yet set in stone. So there's just a lot unknown. This is saying it's not knowable right now. The whole situation is still changing, still moving. Spirit's moving. Other people are making their free will decisions. Everything's still moving. So there's nothing to be known yet. So this situation where it's not as it seems, it may still be changing and moving around, and we've still got some moving parts here. So. And then new moon in Leo, so that's a beginning of sort of a new cycle in our life, or renewal. We're getting renewal in confidence and success. So this is strength. Our strength is being renewed here, and confidence is a key to your success. So somehow being confident in your intuition, or confident in what you do know, and confident in what you do feel, is part of success. And definitely the more confidence, the more faith we can have in a successful outcome, the more likely we're going to get that successful outcome. Because faith has a huge role to play in what we bring to the table and how much of ourselves we're willing to bring to the table. If we know for a fact that something's going to happen a certain way, then we will bring, or something, if we know for a fact that if we do bring our best selves and our best work into a situation, if we knew that was going to make all the difference, that we would definitely get the outcome that we wanted if we brought that all, our best self and our best work and all that, then that is actually a key to the success, is having that faith and believing in that. So being confident, don't hide who you are. I don't think you want to hide your grief process or your sadness. You definitely don't want to be hiding your intuition. Your intuition is supposed to be bold and out there. So be confident, be bold, and that's going to help you a lot as you go through this grief process. And be confident that you're going to get through it too, or that, these sunny days are here. I don't know that we never get to a point where there's no sadness and no grief in our life. It's just built into the whole equation. So that's why being present, and especially with our clearer, happier days, is so important, because you're definitely going through a grief process here, but just in general in life. All right, Taurus. This is your past, this is your present, this is your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. Yeah, I'll say there's some grief. Oh my God, we got like 7 of Swords, Eva, basically. So in your past, though, we have this Hierophant, we have this high-level religious figure, very spiritually connected, possibly. The interesting thing about the Hierophant and a couple other cards in this deck, you got the other one. You got Justice in your inner landscape. The interesting thing about both of those cards is they can both refer to an institution. The Hierophant can refer to the institution, the church institution itself. Justice can refer to the justice, the whole judges and the jury and the courthouse justice, or the concept of justice. And sometimes those things, they're not always the same thing. The institution of church is not always your highest spirituality center of a community. But anyway, we have some sort of spiritual leadership, possibly a church, possibly a high spiritual level, very connected, you've read the texts or someone in your environment. There's some sort of like church background here or spiritual background here that you're coming from your past. So you've had some dealings with the church, I want to say, and I mean we all have, but you've probably had some dealings with a church or with a minister or something like that, and that's in your recent past. Possibly a spiritual connection, but right now I'm getting more the institution of the church here and a high-level official in that institution. So that's in your recent past. In your present situation, you have a lot of communication, possibly a lot of movement with something in your life, but there's a lot of communicating. Emails, texts, every phone calls, just a lot of communication going back and forth. So you're communicating with somebody, possibly with this church, or possibly with the justice system. There's something about institutions coming up here, major institutions in our lives coming up here. But you got a lot of communication. And if you're not having a lot of communication, this is to double check the communication you do have. I'm notorious for getting text messages and forgetting to read them, being like, oh, I don't want to deal with that right now. And then 4 days later, or, oh, I want to think about that. And then 4 days later, so I have to periodically check things to make sure I didn't forget something or miss something, or ask people to please recontact me if you think you're supposed to have heard from me, because I just don't know. So this card for me is always double check all the communications. Did you read your plane ticket correctly? Did you actually open the mail that you got, or did you just stick it on your desk? Because it might be something that looks not important but is important in that. So this is communication in your present situation is really important right now. And there could be a lot of it, or there could just be very important communications that you need to attend to. Your inner landscape is this justice. This is hopes and fears. So if you've misrepresented yourself, you're worried about a justice system, justice coming in. If someone else has misrepresented themselves, you're hoping that justice is going to come in, that there's going to be some truth, there's going to be some fairness. This could be trying to be fair with yourself, trying to wrestle with what is fair, what is true, what is fair, what is honest within yourself. So this is all internal. This can be hopes, fears, or just an internal process that you're going through. But you're dealing with concepts of justice and truth and fairness. What's fair? And you could be hoping or fearing justice, or you could be just internally processing some sort of, was this fair? Was I treated fairly? Was that it? Because you've got this whole grief process here. So you may be wondering, if you deserved that treatment. Is there something you did to deserve that treatment? Or, if you're dealing with somebody else, you may be really hoping that a bigger karma, something bigger than you comes in and takes care of the issue. Some institutional fairness comes in and takes care of the issue, because you do have this grief process. So, and then what's at issue here is the Seven of Swords. So we take it in the reverse, but it's pretty much the same. This is someone's stopped communicating in order to prevent further fighting. They stole stuff. This is someone's been sneaky. Someone's been stealing. This is your second warning here. You've got two that deal with fairness and justice, and you've got two that deal with sneakiness. So this is very sneaky behavior. They didn't want to go through the whole fight. You know what? They probably weren't capable of doing the whole fight and doing the whole battle and the whole war. So they sent their little page out in a disguise, probably disguised as a little old lady, and he snuck into the tent and he stole all your swords, and now there's no fight, see? And they win, see? But they won through sneakery. So, they've been sneaky, and they may just have shut down communication. That's also stealing swords. Swords are communication, and truth and talking. So they may just have shut it down rather than allow the battle to play out fairly and evenly, so we can actually see who the stronger side is. I guess that's what we're doing with battle. So instead of actually letting everything play out, someone decided to be sneaky and to curtail the whole natural process through lies and sneakery, which is a word I believe I just made up. Okay, in your environment, so in your environment you have the King of Swords. This is an actual person that you know. This person is very fair. This could be a judge, actually. This looks like a judge to me. I mean, we've got justice here, but this person is fair. This could be a lawyer too, if you actually are dealing with a justice issue within the institutions of justice. But they're fair, very smart, very fair, very clear. So they do have a very firm grasp on the truth. They're grasping the truth with both hands. Good communicator, highly intelligent, yeah, very highly intelligent, very good communicator, but very fair too. They're not just focused on their side of the story. They're focused on all the sides of the story, all the aspects, bringing it all in. Bringing both sides in for a fair, true understanding. Our Queen of Swords is focused on her story, her truth, what that is. And that's a fair focus to have sometimes. But in your environment, you have a person who they're going to be trustworthy. You can trust what they say. And it does remind me of like a lawyer or a judge or somebody like that. That's really, got a firm grasp of the truth, highly intelligent, highly capable in this situation that you have here. You may need to enlist a lawyer. Especially if you're dealing with this Eva Seven of Swords energy, you're going to need this guy on your side because he's going to cut through the bullshit. He's going to see through it all. It's his job. He's been doing it his whole life, cutting through bullshit, seeing through the games and the all that stuff. So, and we have nothing set in stone yet. So you might be really looking for this person, this king, that's going to guide you through some sort of process. So your to-do list, the energy you need to come into is this generosity, this fairness, this generosity, this kindness. I know that seems really counterintuitive and could possibly be dangerous if you're dealing with this. But if this is you that did this sneaky shit, this is definitely telling you, like, you got to give back. These swords, you got to give back. See, there's this... she's dealing with some fairness, some generosity, some kindness, and giving of herself. That may be, and then we have the scales here. So we're really talking about balancing something. We have this balanced king here who is grasping both sides, and maybe you need to be looking at both sides of the argument. So looking at both sides only works if both people are trying to tell the truth, and then we can be like, okay, the truth might be somewhere in between. But if someone's lying and someone's telling the truth, here's the truth, here's the person trying to tell it, and here's the person lying about it. The truth isn't over here. This truth is still right here. But and if both people were trying, we could approximate it in between there. But someone's lying and being sneaky, it's not between the person. The truth doesn't lie equal distance from the person lying and from the person trying to tell the truth. That's a weird idea, and I hear it all the time. It's not true. It's not possible. So Six of Pentacles here, though, bringing in some generosity, bringing in some fairness, trying to see both sides. You're this figure right here, and you're trying to bring some fairness to both sides here. Or maybe you're asking for that fairness. This may need to be money. This may be something to deal with money, being fair with money, being kind with money. And then your possible outcome here is the Six of Swords. It may be that you need to just leave this Eva and the Seven of Swords situation behind and just move on to something better. I mean, this is launching off from a war-torn land, someplace very difficult. There's open water. There's a storm at sea. Do you know how shitty this land has to be for you to want to launch off in the middle of a storm in a rowboat? I mean, so if it gets that shitty, this is what you're doing. You're leaving. You're leaving the situation behind. You're going to move on to safer places. And the safer place might actually be an open ocean during a storm than the shore here. Because on the shore here, we've got this motherfucker. And we don't need to keep dealing with that. Right? So you've got this whole grief process. You got a lot of decisions to make. Hopefully this is helpful with that because nothing's yet set in stone. But have confidence. I mean, this guy's got some confidence here. He's like, yeah, you know what? But I can handle the open ocean. That's the thing I know. That's what I can handle. So be confident in yourself. Be confident in your ability to handle what looks like a pretty tricky situation. You're going to be listening to your intuition. There's something about justice and fairness and scales being balanced that you need to bring in, and is also something that you're hoping for, and you're hopeful that this justice and this truth is going to come in. And look, you got this King of Swords. I love it because you've got this truth coming in. It's going to launch you though off the shore though. You gotta. Maybe the fair thing to do is to bail on the situation. Maybe that's bringing the fairness and the justice. You got to be fair to yourself as well. That can sometimes be difficult for some of us. We're more focused on what's fair for other people. But yeah, I hope you get through this grief process one day at a time, I think, is what we're doing here. No rain today. Just be very present here now. And bring in that fairness, and that a little bit of a generous spirit might go a long way here. But one of your possible outcomes we're looking at. Moving on. All right, Taurus, that was not my favorite reading I've ever done, but I do believe there was some clarity, and I think it could be very helpful for some of you. So thank you so much for your likes, comments, and subscribes. I really appreciate it. It's encouraging for me, and it also helps raise the visibility of the channel so that other people can find these messages too. Thank you.